In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, peace and blessings of God be upon Muhammad and his blessed family and the chosen companions. Dearest brothers, peace be upon you and God's mercy. Surely all of us have been victims of Islamophobia, and for that reason, we must understand what Islamophobia is, where it comes from, and what the main factors of Islamophobia are. So, to understand how we can confront and stop Islamophobia. In reality, a large part of our audience, of our society in the West, they are also victims of misinformation against Islam and misunderstanding about Islam. That is why, for example, many things about Islam, which are even beauties of Islam, are things that will add flavor and sweetness to Islamic life, such as fasting, the daily obligatory prayers, having a pure home without a dog inside the house, and the special respect for Muslim women who cover their beauty and keep their sexuality within the home, which is called hijab. All of them are considered ugly and bad, unbearable aspects of Islam, and fasting says, oh, how can you endure it? How many hours, and how do you make yourself suffer? And that law has been abolished by Jesus, and you go back to following the law. And that law was pure punishment for original sin. And why do you follow it? The person does not understand. And they say, oh, why are you fasting? And when they see that you as a Muslim have a pure home without dog feces, a house without the scandalous smell of a dog, a clean house, with carpets, with tapestries in the house and all that, the beauty of a perfect Islamic home, then oh, you cannot have a dog, oh, that little dog, that cute pet. No, that is the beauty. It is the cleanliness, that loveliness, the purification of the Muslim home. Then you will make it seem like an ugly thing. Oh, you don't have a dog. Oh, how poor. It is indeed prohibited in the Islamic home. Oh, what a pity. They misunderstand it. When we get to the obligatory prayers, oh, how is that? You do have to pray at noon. Oh, what a rigorous religion. Also in the afternoon, again at sunset. Oh, you cannot miss all those prayers. No, you cannot miss them. 5 prayers, yes. Also in the early morning. Oh my God, how much difficulty. And no, let's see. The good part is that when a Muslim prays, in the morning, at noon, and at sunset, at least 3 times, that will combine the 5 prayers. So it means that the Muslim at each event during the prayer performs ablution, purifies himself. The Muslim already has an organized life. The Muslim has a responsible life. And that at every moment he is connecting with the source of the light of mercy with God. That is an advantage of Islam and is misunderstood. Or the topic of the Islamic veil for ladies, for Muslim women, that a woman has her beauty, interior, her bodily beauty, her sexuality, it is protected. It is very good. That is perfect. A lady will not become a display of female body parts in society, but will be a lady with intellect, with wisdom, with her knowledge. It does not allow her to be evaluated by her sexuality. Instead, she says, I am a human being. My sexuality is preserved, protected. And if you want to deal with me, you cannot abuse or take advantage of my bodily beauty, but you must deal with my personality. As a human being, regardless of the size of her body, regardless of the size of female body parts, I am a human being and deserve respect. It doesn't matter what color or shape I am. What matters is that I am a human being. I have thoughts and deserve respect. So all that thing about beauty and the misunderstandings there. The Muslim woman, poor thing, cannot walk in a miniskirt or bikini on the street. Oh, what a pity, poor things. She has no freedom. Everything is misunderstood, right? So, all those things practically, and you think that all of that is by chance. When they are going to see a bearded turban, it has happened to me 1,000 times. I remember once I was in Colombia, in the city of Bogota. With that religious clothing, we were walking towards a park with a group of Muslims. It was a Sunday. A line of boys and girls exercised together. They were running. So they were like a line and they were running, one behind the other. There were about 40 people. Out of 40 people, when they saw me dressed in that Muslim religious clothing? Well, it is the clothing of the wise. So the first image that came to their mind was bin Laden. And they, without realizing it, or we can say automatically when they saw me dressed in that clothing, said bin Laden, bin Laden. Others said terrorist. Others said bomb. It means the first thing they remember, clothing was the symbol of the bomb. Of terrorism, I am not sure what, of negativity. So that guy, that young man, because of his sincerity, because of his truthfulness, because he is a young man who doesn't want to lie, is not hypocritical. Everything he has been taught suddenly clashes with him, and he can't control his emotions, and he will express them. And suddenly he says, oh, bomb. He says, oh, terrorist. Oh, bin Laden. And like that, I'm even going to tell you a joke about what happened to a friend, a student of mine who was in a city in Latin America. So he was at the embassy at midnight. When I wanted to go back home, I accompanied some of the friends from the embassy to their homes. You know, when someone gets into your car and when they want to get out, you are going to press the button for the car locks. That is to say, what has automatically closed the doors, you are going to open it so your friend can get out. Many of the cars, after you open the car doors, will not close again if at the moment of starting it closes all the car doors, but afterwards it will not close the car doors. So he said, the friends got out, and I didn't realize that the car doors were open. Then I arrived at a block, a traffic light. I stopped waiting for the red light to turn green so I could go. Suddenly two, what are they called? Those individuals who are going to be in some blocks, in some corners, will be waiting for clients. When they don't find clients, sometimes they will rob. He says it was around 1 in the morning and I was the only car that was there. Suddenly I saw that 2 transgender individuals got into the car. One next to me and the other behind, and one put the knife here. At that moment I said to myself, what am I going to do, God? Then they said, give us everything you have. And he says that the truth is I was left surprised. What am I going to do? How should I react? And thinking about it, I said, very well, they are also victims of Islamophobia. Listen to that part, it's interesting. They are also victims. Those transgender individuals also watch Hollywood movies, right? So they are victims of Islamophobia. Then he said, very well, do you know that I am a Muslim member of Al-Qaeda, a friend of bin Laden? It was back when bin Laden was alive. And I am a friend of bin Laden. And a satellite is now controlling the car. You have 30 seconds to get out of the car. If not, my friends will show up with guns and everything and they will finish you off. So now you have 30 seconds to disappear. And the friend said, when I told that lie, they ran away. They ran away. You can't believe it. Yes, it's like a joke, but it's real. It happened to me too. I already have that beard and everything. Sometimes dressed religiously, sometimes normally with a white shirt. So once I was in, I'm not going to name the cities because I'm talking about negative events. In one of the cities in Latin America, I wanted to print some papers for the Islamic Center. So we were short on paper. I went to buy paper for the printer. So while walking towards the next street, suddenly a motorcycle came at me from the opposite direction. Having a hand here and like this, he approached me and said, oh, look. Look, look, look. I said to hand over your ring, that ring, the other ring. And I told him, no, I'm not going to give it to you. He said, oh, I'm telling you to hand it over. He shouted at me. I shouted back. I started to run. He escaped. I ran. He escaped. So I arrived at the Islamic Center, but breathing fast and very scared because it was a robbery, right? Of an armed assault, although I hadn't seen the weapon. So when I arrived at the Islamic Center, the Muslims there were present. How are you? Why are you breathing so heavily? Why so scared? And I said, well, I'm a victim of a robbery. And what happened to you? Did you give him everything he asked for? No, I didn't give him anything. The religious won't give anything. They receive. He told me, no, then he shot you. I said, no. What did the robber do? He escaped. They said, "Oh my God, in this city, robbers don't escape. If you're not going to give it to him, there's a law written that if you don't give him what he asks for, he's going to shoot you in the face. How is it that he didn't shoot you? It's very strange." They were surprised because in that city back then, I remember once seeing in the news, every Sunday more than 70 people died from gunshots from robbers, from assailants. 70 people just on Sundays in that city. Just in that city. Imagine, there are thousands of other stories if I want to tell you about my experiences. Like when I went to a book fair in one of the cities in Latin America. Then when the young people saw me, they approached me, making bomb sounds, saying, "Mr. Bomb." They said, "Mr. Bomb." Once in another city in southern Latin America, when I went to visit a national library, talking with the director, who is now a doctor, an illustrious academic person, talking all about that. Then at the end of the talk I said, "Look, gentlemen, we've reached the time for prayer, and if there's any place carpeted that we can go to pray there, because it's noon." And the gentleman said, "It's upstairs in the 4th floor of the library." It was a super large library. On the 4th floor, that's where they repair the old books. There we have carpeting. The entire floor is carpeted. So, there, what is it? On the floor, we have something like a carpet. So you can go upstairs and pray there. I said, "Very well, thank you." I said goodbye to the gentleman and approached the elevator to get to the 4th floor. Suddenly, I saw that the gentleman was running behind me. He was saying, "Oh, wait. And I asked him, "What's wrong?" "Oh, sir." He told me, "Oh, sir. Look, after an hour of the long talk about the Islamic Revolution, the achievements of the Islamic Revolution," and that gentleman showed great interest in listening and all that. At the end of an hour, then he comes, approaches me and says, "Oh, sir." And I said, "What?" And he told me, "Please don't put your bomb there." The fact that I carry a bomb is certain, but what he is asking me is not to put my bomb on the 4th floor. Imagine that. Whether it's a joke or real, the guy spoke to me like that. Like this, thousands of other stories that I can tell you. And the last one, that once I wanted to buy the Bible. You know that the Bible that they are generally going to give you is the Reina Valera. It is the Protestant version. That is the difference with the Catholic version, which in the Old Testament, the Protestant version has 39 books. In the Catholic version, it has 46 books, like that version of Jerusalem, the Jerusalem Bible, which is a Catholic version. Imagine then, I needed to have a Catholic version, and at the church I went and they didn't give it to me. You know that Protestants give away the Bible, but Catholics say the authority is the priest. There is no need for you to go buy the Bible. If you have questions, ask the priest. And the Bible is not a reference for them. The reference is the priest. In the Protestant church, the religious reference is the Bible. Very well. So, I went to buy the Bible. They told me, I don't know, it was very expensive. I went to buy it at an official church library. It was very expensive. I said, "Oh, to spend so much money on a Bible, I am not going to do it, nor will I have it. But I will see where second-hand books are sold." And there they told me, in such a place. That place, I didn't know it was a place for drug addicts. It was a place where I saw people everywhere, but in very, we can say, bad ways, right? Like a drug addict, the face they have, the way they dress. And it was under a big bridge. And there under that bridge, it was full of people selling second-hand books. And I went there and got the book, but on the way back, I also saw that people looked at me badly, but in a way that seemed like they wanted to attack me, right? But no one approached me. After a couple of days, one day the ambassador saw me and said, "Where have you been?" And yes, I went to buy a Bible. Where in such a place? And he said, "It can't be." The ambassador said, "It can't be. That place is the most dangerous place in that city. And it can't be that someone like a foreigner goes there and is left in peace, that they won't rob or attack them." I said, "Yes, no one even approached me. They did look at me strangely, but they didn't come near me. Seriously, many brothers are afraid of Muslims. That is very serious. The truth is they are afraid. So there is so much phobia, so much fear of Islam and where it comes from. Why are they teaching it like this? Why do they want people to be so fearful, so traumatized by Muslims, perhaps? Why do young people in schools and all that they are showing Islam as an illogical, stupid religion associated with bombs and terrorists? How many movies? A study that we have conducted from 2007 to 2018 for about 11 years. We studied all the products from Hollywood and some products from the series in Spain. There, we have already seen more than 300 movies that directly attacked Islam. Directly. More than 300 movies and series. And if we want to count those that indirectly also attack Islam, there are more than thousands. Imagine then so much investment, and for one movie you will see that they are investing millions of dollars. 10 million, 20 million, sometimes $100 million for a movie. And in that movie they are going to destroy Islam. They are going to destroy Muslims. Why are they doing it? Why are they investing? If Muslims are so bad, if Muslims are so stupid, then there is no need to worry. People are not stupid. When they see, those are crazy. They move away from Islam. They move away from Muslims. But in reality, it is nothing like that. There is a crazy pastor. Evangelical, he says, I am a Judeo-Christian. I don't know what nonsense. His name is David Diamond, something like that. He is a demon. The guy has a phrase, but it is true. That phrase is true. Very true. What does he say? He says, at the moment you, as a Christian, want to approach a Muslim, through a door of friendship, and you want to gain the trust of that Muslim, and you want to make him convert, the Muslim is on the path of return. Look, that phrase is very wise. At the moment you, Christian brother, want to convert a Muslim, that Muslim is on the path of return. It means he has converted you. That's it. That's it. Why? Is Islam so powerful? Is Islam so beautiful and lovely that despite so much Islamophobia in the West, there are multitudes of illustrious, university-educated, intelligent young people who are integrating into Islam? According to recent studies, the conversion rate of Latinos only in the southern United States has reached tens of thousands of young people. How can it be? If Islam is a religion of stupid terrorists, and if we are going to believe in all the garbage from trash TV, then, well, the truth is, all that misinformation is false. So we want to study more in depth. Where did this start? Since when has it started? Why have they done it? What is the interest and objective behind it all? What is the purpose of Islamophobia? What kind of Islam do they consider bad? What kind of Islam is the good one? And all that. Why do they insist that there should always be some mercenaries from the West in the Islamic world, like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, who have all been trained by them, by the CIA, by Western intelligence services, like the United States? Al-Qaeda, war, bomb, they all provided weapons. They themselves trained the terrorists. They themselves provided plans. Imagine, then all of that will be attributed to Islam and Muslims. The truth is, if we do not study deeply, it seems that the reality of Islam is that Islam is a religion, or rather, the only religion that has remained on the face of the earth. The only religion whose sacred text they have not been able to manipulate. Islam is the only religion that encompasses the teachings of all the prophets. Islam is the living path of Jesus. Islam is the path of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Islam is the path that has a plan for human happiness. That is why they have to be concerned. Because if a young person is within the plan of enslavement. The new modern enslavement of the West is suffering a bitter life under the pressure of dictators who, in the name of democracy, are oppressing and draining the blood from the open veins of Latin America, so that boy is a victim. He feels it, he sees how they are stealing, extracting natural resources by multinational companies, how they are working in his country. That boy, like a slave, must work hard from Monday to Friday, even on Saturdays, doing extra jobs, and still cannot even afford a house, a car, or anything for a dignified life that a young worker deserves. So he starts to think, who is stealing so many natural resources from me? Everything that God has granted us. So he starts to think, look, there needs to be a search for a path to salvation. And when he comes to study, where and how can he find it? He enters the church and says, if they are going to slap you on the right side, then give them the other side. Give me the other side of the slap. And what is missing? And from there will be the Protestant church even worse. And the Bajavitas, who are worse than the worst, who support all the terrorists. So the boy stays there looking, my God, is there no path that combines spirituality with political salvation? What I suffer in Latin America. I need a path that can free my life from the oppression of the devil. I seek a path of pure spirituality, but this time intellectual. I don't want to leave my intellect outside the temple and, with my hand like this, empty and without thinking, I will enter a church that only wants to instill dogmas of faith in me. And it demands that I must be silent when the priest is preaching. Then that young man, when he is going to find Islam, oh look, everything I was looking for is here in Islam. Spirituality, full of spirituality, supplications, closeness, fasting, practice, a healthy life, a united family. On the topic of politics, perfect. Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. Imam Ali, peace be upon him. The path of God, the path of resistance, the path of saying no to the arrogant, perfect. Then he says, this is my treasure, my lost jewel. That is Islam. He says, I was looking for a leader whom I could love. And he says, look, here is Ayatollah Khamenei, here is Hassan Nasrallah. There are religious leaders who are both spiritual and influential in society, who have raised the flag of freedom for the oppressed peoples of the world and resist. Then that person begins to fall in love with Islam. And all of that. It begins to put Western interests at risk, because if all the young people start to embrace Islam, the path that will free them from modern slavery, then they lose all interest in the West. For this reason, they have to fight against Islam. So we want to answer the following questions as the introduction to that first class. Why have the leaders of the West done everything possible to expand Islamophobia in the West? Why does the West have so much fear of true Islam? What is responsible Islam, political Islam, Islam in action, not in words? What exact plans have the Westerners had over the last centuries to control Muslims? To control Islamic countries, Muslim philosophers. What have they done to prevent Islam from reaching the West? According to Westerners, who can be the representatives of Muslims, that only they can represent Islam. Others are illegitimate. What role did Western intelligence services play in controlling Islam in Muslim nations and the West? We want to study this, the role of Western intelligence services in controlling Islam in Islamic countries, of Muslims and also in the West, how to control it, so that the Islam of Muslims does not reach the West, or if it does reach the West, it is a castrated, useless version of it. And lastly, what is the role of the media of misinformation? The news outlets of lies and the trash series and movies from Hollywood, among other major production companies, in destroying the image of Islam to expand Islamophobia in the world. These are among many other questions that we will answer. in the next class. May the peace and blessing of God be with you all, bringing you comfort and joy in every moment of your life.